Hi, in this video we're going to be trying to fix up this Roberts radio. DAB Plus and RDS. So it's FM, DAB and DAB Plus. So a viewer called Paul sent me this. And I'm not too sure exactly what the fault with it is. So let's plug it in. I've got a power lead here. We'll just see what it's doing. Oh, we've got a mains light on there, that's good. That's the on off button. Well, I've just heard the amplifier click on. I can hear a faint hiss. And scratchy volume control. So the amplifier's working, but we've got nothing on the display. Looks like the display is kind of lit up though. Not so sure on this one, it mightn't be repairable, but we'll have a look. I think what we might do is just try some batteries in it though. Let's see what batteries it takes. Oh, it looks like it takes 6 D cells by the look of that. Right, I'm just going to see if I can grab some batteries. Right, that's some batteries in it. Let's just see what it does now, see if it works on batteries. Well, the amplifier's just clicked on again. And the display does look lit up a little bit. I can see these segments there. They've disappeared. And now they've came back on, but we've got nothing on the display. I'm just wondering if this is another microcontroller one. Right, let's take it apart and we shall have a look. I'll just pop these batteries back out. And it looks like we have a number of Phillips screws around the outside. So let's undo those. Let's see if it wants to come apart. Another one right in the middle. Looks like we've got to unscrew the antenna connector, so I'm just going to do that. I'll just put the rest of these screws to one side so we don't lose them. So it looks like we've got a little linear power supply here, transformer. Looks like we've got 2 bridge rectifiers here, smoothing cap, 2 smoothing caps and a little fuse. Well, let's just see if that's intact. Right, back with the test meter. Let's just check this fuse. That seems okay. Hold on. Looks like there's 2 wires cut off here. That looks a bit unusual. So it looks like there's a capacitor missing there as well. So I wonder if this board, I wonder if this board's been used for a different radio perhaps. And on this version they've cut those off. I'll just zoom down a bit just in case you can't see there. Well, there's definitely 2 red wires that are being cut off here. Let's just have a look at this power plug. So it looks like we might have 2 voltages come out of this and only 1 for the batteries. So I guess that plug's for the batteries and that's for the mains. Right, I'm just going to move this part out of the way. Let's just have a look over this part, see if we can see anything obvious first. So, looks like the power comes in. I can't see where that bottom wire goes. Actually, it looks like it comes straight to this point here. And that might be a voltage regulator. Interesting. It says there, pilot run PCB. Looks like we've possibly got another voltage regulator down here. I'll just see where that plug went because it looks a bit bent. I think that goes to, is that the battery input or does that go to one of the speakers? Let's just untangle these a moment. So it looks like the battery input comes in here. And that's the main brains of the receiver there. That'll be what generates the display. So I think what I might do, I might couple it back up. And I think that's a voltage regulator, but we'll have to zoom down. Actually, hold on. Yeah, so that goes to that plug there. So we'll see what voltages we get just here and here. Right, I'm just going to couple it back up and plug the power lead in. Right, I've got it connected back up. Let's see what voltages we get on this voltage regulator. Let me just stop escaping there. So we've got 9 volts on this first pin on the left. And we've got 13 volts on the next pin along. Then we've got 5 volts. And then we've got nothing. I just wonder why we've got 2 voltages going into this voltage regulator. It seems a bit odd. So I might have to see if we can zoom down a bit on that and try and get a number off that in the data sheet. I'll just switch this back off a moment. Looks like that end pin there isn't connected. I just don't know why we've got 2 voltages going into there. It just seems a little bit odd. You go to the USB. In fact, no. There's another port at the top here. I thought that was the USB connector it went to, but it isn't. Looks like those go back to... Ah, yeah, it is the USB. To USB module, right. So I'm just wondering if the fault's on this board here. Looks like I might have to take this amplifier board out next then. I'm seeing the whole socket out. And so's that one. And it looks like we've had a power cut. It's been quite windy today. I know you can't see anything now. And I can't see anything either. Let's see if I can find a torch. Right, I think we're going to have to continue this repair when the power comes back on. It just shows what goes on when you live out in the wilds. Well, it's been really windy today. I've just fired up one of the backup generators there. You might be able to hear it in the background. So we've got lights and everything now. Back at the house. But it's pretty dark across the valley at the moment. You might be able to see there. There's one little light on in the distance and that's about it. There's a car coming past there. So I guess the wind's taken down one of the high voltage lines. This is my changeover switch to swap over from mains to generator, and as you can see there's no mains light lit up, just the generator light. This is the generator that I'm running the barns or the outbuildings on at the moment. It's the DHY6000 SE made by Hyundai.
3 hours later.
And the electricity just came back on. You can see the mains light now. Well, it's been about 3 hours and the power's back on. I think the most we've been without power's been about just over a week. Or around about a week. So that's the reason why I've got backup generators. Right, so where were we up to with this radio then? I think I just removed the amplifier board and then I was going to check to see if we had some voltages on these voltage regulators. There's another voltage regulator I noticed just down here. You might be able to see if that wire's out of the way there. So we've got a voltage regulator here, a voltage regulator there. And I guess those must come onto this little board here, which is the brains of the unit. And it also looks like we've got some traces here that come down to this ribbon cable. You might just be able to see it. I'll lift that up a bit. There's a ribbon cable here. And that's the display board at the front, and it looks like there's a, you might be able to see that, there's a blob chip under there. So let's hope it's not that. Right, let's get this power supply plugged in and we'll power it up. Plug the mains lead in. Let's see if I can balance that over there somewhere. Let's just see if the switch is on, and it does. And I've got nothing on the display at the moment. So let's have a poke about on the voltage regulator that's down here. So we've got 1.2 on the output, it looks like, and 3.3 on the input. So let's have a poke about on this. Let's see if we get any voltages on any of these pins here. 0.7. Well, there's a 1.2. We've got a 3.3. So we've got 3.3 and 1.2 going into this board here. I wonder if it's worth hooking up the scope, and we'll see if we get any activity on this display connector here when we twiddle buttons and dials and whatever. We'll also see if there's any clock on this crystal just here. Right, I'm going to hook the scope up. Right, let's see if we get anything on this display connector here. I think the first few pins are power, so let's try this pin here. I'll just try turning the tuning knob. Well, we've got a voltage on that pin. Nothing on that one. A voltage there and nothing on that one. So I can't see any activity. There's no clock or data there. Let's see if we get anything on this crystal. Nothing there. We haven't even got any voltage there. Am I getting anything on this IC? We've got a voltage there. So it appears that the problem is on this board here, which is the brains of the unit. So let's hope it's not something like the main chips failed. Let's get this board out and we'll get it under the microscope and we'll just have a quick look over it just in case there's anything obvious. I'm just going to desolder these couple of ground wires here. A bit fresh solder on first, I think. Just cut that off. Right, let's get this under the microscope. Right, so this is the TOMLOV 4K-AF Max microscope that I'm using, and if you're interested in one, I'll leave some links in the video description with a bit discount for you. I'm just looking at some of these joints here. Let's find something to point with. The likes of that one there. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. I mean, it could just be conformal coating. Let's see if I can focus on it a little bit better. Not so sure. That one looks a bit dry, or a bit fatigued, just here. And possibly that one. And possibly that one. You can just see the ring all the way around it. So I'll try touching those up with the iron, possibly even that one as well. Yeah. Maybe that one also. Let's just continue in case there's anything else. I'll just zoom back out a little bit. Just in case one of the chips has got a big hole in it or something. There's probably some kind of EEPROM that holds the firmware there. Well, I don't recognise the number. Looks like there's a couple of pins there that I would have thought should have power. That's with the capacitor across. Yeah, and those look like the data pins. So I don't think this board's getting any power. Or sections of the board aren't. Let's try resoldering this EEPROM. It's like a little inductor there. And another one here. I'm just going to get the meter. I'm just going to try continuity just across those, just in case. You never know. Well, that one seems okay. But I don't appear to be getting a reading on that one. And that looks like that should be conducting by the way the trace comes. And that goes to one of the power lines, I think. Yeah, because that side of the capacitor has ground. So, oh, hold on here. Ah, we have a short. Right, so that's why this isn't working. I think there's a short, possibly on one of these capacitors, that's then blown this little inductor here. Right, well, at least we're getting somewhere now. So I'm going to touch up these joints. I'm just going to resolder this EEPROM. And then I think we'll have to try injecting some voltage and we'll see what gets hot. So we can use this as a ground and we'll inject something like 1 volt at 1 amp into here and then we'll see what gets hot. Well, there definitely looks to be a short. I'm going to put some flux on here. Bit too much on that one. You can take a bit off. Should possibly use some thinner solder. Right, that'll probably do. Right, so I'll tack the wire onto here for the ground. And we'll inject our voltage just here. Right, I've got it hooked up to the bench power supply. And I've got the power supply set to 1 volt at 1 amp. I'll switch the thermal camera on. And for those of you that's got one of these, one of the things that I've designed and printed out is this adapter plate here, and it allows you to use a macro lens on it. so you can get in a lot closer to circuit boards and that, and it works quite well. Right, so I'll just set this recording. And it actually looks right where my lead is. It could just be that capacitor there. Right, we'll whip that off and see if it makes any difference. Right, let's take this capacitor off. Let's just see if that's the culprit. I'll just set the meter to continuity. Look at that. And that's short circuit. Now it's just a decoupling capacitor across the supply, because I replaced one on a solid state hard disk a while back, and people were saying, how did you know what capacitor to use? Something like a 0.1 or 0.01 microfarad will probably do. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just... I think I just pulled one off another board that was doing the same job pretty much. Right, I'll see if I can find another capacitor and then we'll replace it. Well, I found an old TV board here, and this whole row of capacitors here are just being used as decouplers, so I'll just take one of those. As long as it's the same size. See if I can get one of them off. Maybe even better from the other side. That's the old one there, just put it next to it for size comparison. Right, I've got that one off. I'm just going to remove this earth wire for now because it's in the way a little bit. I'll just clean this up in a minute. Just put some flux on first. Well, I'm making a right mess of this so far. I'll probably do. Just get rid of that bit of solder on there. And now I need to do something with this inductor here. So I've just found a couple here on the same board. Just going to put a bit of flux on that first. I don't know where my other tweezers are, these ones are a bit rubbish. Actually looks more like a resistor, this. I should have probably put a blob of solder on first. Because I know what's going to happen here, it's just going to come off. Just going to clean off the blobs of solder at the side here. Doesn't make any difference, but might as well while I'm here. Let's see if we have a short across this capacitor now. And we don't. Excellent. Let's see if we have continuity. And we do. So that goes down to this pin here, which I guess is one of the supplies for this IC. So let's see if I can get on that pin. Jump into that one. Yeah, there we go. Right, let's put it back in and we'll see if we get anything on the display. Right, let's just get the rest of it back over here. I need to solder those two wires back on, the two ground wires. Let's just do that. Right, I'll get the power. I'll plug this back in. And where's the power lead? Right, let's switch that on. Let's see what happens. Oh, hey! I don't know if you can see that, very good. Right, let's put it back together and we'll see if it works. Well, that looks promising, doesn't it? Might be hope for this one after all. Right, I'm just going to unplug it. I need to put this amplifier board back in. I'm just going to unplug this a second, just get that out of the way for the moment. It's been awkward to work on this just with the angle it's at. Could do with having something just to prop it up a bit. I don't know why they've got a separate amplifier board, it's a bit strange. Right, I'm just going to continue reassembling this and then we'll continue on some a little bit further on. Right, let's get the mains lead. Now, one of the problems I'm going to have is because we live in a very old farmhouse with 2-foot thick stone walls, I don't get any radio reception in the house. And it's a bit late to be taking it up the driveways. It's about 1:30 in the morning, so it'll be pitch black up there. So I'll probably have to leave this till tomorrow for testing. Let's just see if we get any white. Yes. Okay, so on the face of it, it looks like it's working, but we'll give it a proper test tomorrow. But for you, that'll be in about 3 seconds. I've just came up the top of the driveway there just to test the radio out. It's actually not a bad day today. The first little bit of sun that we've had for a while, so maybe you can see some of the sheep there in the distance. Right, let's test this radio then. Right, let's try the FM. We don't get a lot of radio stations around here, so let's just see.
Count is a piece written by one of Classic FM's Rising Stars 2026, Unica Tanzil, and it's called Reverie.
She said she's newly single, and there's a hot kitchen guy in work. She doesn't know how to be human around him. Yeah.
Not sure what that one is. The Voice 2. I don't know what the question mark means in front of them. Well, there we go. It seems to be working. And there's a little bit bonus footage here. We've just had a new arrival, so I'll just go and show you that. So I've just had this little filly born here. We're calling her Savannah. That's her there. And that's our mum, Storm. Now my wife's had Storm since she was a foal. This is the second foal that's just had now. And Savannah's about 5 days old. You coming to say hello? Yeah. There you go. Yeah, we were there when she was born, so there you go, good lass. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the big thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.